Ilia might just be that guy. Ilia Topuria came into the UFC less than 5 years ago and called exactly what he was going to do, knocked out 2 of the best featherweights of all time, and instantly vacated his featherweight title. So this is how Ilia Topuria speedran the UFC.
So Ilia Topuria debuted his historic UFC run by facing off against Yusuf Zalal on UFC Fight Night 179, in which he was actually the underdog coming into this fight, and this is where he got his first UFC win in 2020. And as he went on, his first real big showcase was against Ryan Hall on the card of McGregor vs. Poirier 3. Of course, this was a huge card, being a McGregor card, and him being able to showcase his skills here was a huge opportunity, going up against Ryan Hall as well, who's quite a hype jiu-jitsu practitioner. But in that fight, Topuria knocked him out, and that was really the start of his name being in the UFC.
And after that Ryan Hall fight, he actually moved up to the lightweight division for a one-off short notice fight against Jai Herbert, which is a bit of foreshadowing of what is to come in his career. But in that fight, he went through some adversity, caught dropped by Jai Herbert from a nasty head kick, but immediately showed his versatility and his recovering ability, going for the takedown, getting it back on the feet, and in that second round, knocking Jai out brutally. And this is what he continued to do and started to become known for in his UFC career: the emphatic highlight reel knockouts, putting anyone and everyone out cold on the feet. His hands are something else, and we would continue to see that through his career. He then took on Bryce Mitchell, choked him out, and Ilia is kind of part of this new breed of the UFC. We're kind of seeing a lot of new talent rise up, and guys that are not just specialized in one martial art. Yes, Ilia does have a Greco-Roman wrestling background, and he's good on the ground, but he's also amazing on the feet. He's a very well-rounded fighter, shown in that Bryce Mitchell fight. Bryce Mitchell was known for having a good ground game, and Topuria submitted him.
And then this next fight, which was practically the title eliminator for Topuria, was against Josh Emmett, a very experienced guy in the UFC, a very powerful puncher who as well has a wrestling background. So this was definitely going to be the biggest test in his career so far. And coming into this 5-round fight, Topuria was really able to show his incredible stand-up game here against Emmett, being able to drop Emmett multiple times in this fight, putting up a historic performance here in which he even showcased his cardio, being able to box full technique, full power for 5 rounds. And it's really incredible to see the potential that Topuria had here.
Yeah, this is where we saw how good Ilia Topuria really was. A step up in the rankings against a top 10 opponent. He put on a masterclass, 50-42 on one of the judges' scorecards, a 10-7 in the 4th round. He showed that he could push a pace, his first ever 5-rounder in MMA and in the UFC, which this is what really catapulted him and set him up for the title shot, which eventually came at the beginning of 2024, where he fought one of the greatest featherweights of all time, Alexander Volkanovski, coming off a head kick knockout on short notice to Islam Makhachev. But Volk at that time was undefeated at featherweight, looked unbeatable against the likes of Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez. He was running through the division, lapping it even, and Ilia Topuria just went out there, walked forward, and in that second round, knocked Volkanovski out cold, which he predicted and said what he was gonna do. He put in his Instagram bio, world champion, before this fight even ever happened, and he pretty much just manifested this. He willed it into existence, and then he made it happen. Everything he's said, he's done already, and he became champion in less than 4 years into being in the UFC.
Yeah, that was his crowning fight practically. The Spanish Georgian becoming a massive star in the UFC, and this all lined up to a perfect fight against Max Holloway, who just came off of the KO of the year against Justin Gaethje at lightweight, winning the BMF belt. So Holloway was coming back down for the matchup at featherweight, and a lot of people were thinking Max Holloway was gonna win this fight. And even from the ringside video of Ilia reacting to Holloway's KO, he was looking all shocked. But all these fears were put to rest quickly, especially even in the build-up. Ilia Topuria was extremely confident, and in the fight we saw what Topuria could do. It was a competitive fight for the first 2 rounds, both guys trying to implement their game plan, but Topuria with that pressure style, eventually wearing Max Holloway down bit by bit. And in that 3rd round, we see a massive straight right to Holloway, stuns him, hurts him. He gets Holloway against the cage, hits him with a massive left hook that just puts him down for the first time in Holloway's career. And just like that, Ilia Topuria has just been in 2 of the greatest featherweight champions of all time.
Yeah, at this point, Ilia Ilia Topuria just did the unthinkable. Volk and Max were reigning at the top of this division for about the last 5 years, maybe even more than that. Both guys, some of the greatest featherweights of all time, along with Jose Aldo, and Ilia Topuria just on this insane run. Conor McGregor-esque, as in Conor McGregor's prime. He went all the way to welterweight to fight Nate Diaz, then came back down and fought for the lightweight title, became the first ever champ in the UFC, holding simultaneous featherweight and lightweight titles. But instead of challenging for the lightweight title with his featherweight title intact, he has now vacated the featherweight title, moving up division completely to lightweight, as it looks like he may be challenging one of the pound for pound, if not the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, Islam Makhachev, for what could be a massive mega fight. And Ilia Topuria at lightweight in general can make for some amazing fights and great matchups. He's already done so much at featherweight. There weren't too many great contenders, maybe a Volk rematch, Diego Lopez and Movsar Evloev, but those wouldn't be as big, as mainstream as possible fights that he could get at lightweight. And he's one of the most skilled guys. He's already shown knockout power against Jai Herbert at lightweight, and he might just take over this division as well.
And practically through his entire featherweight run, he just speed ran through that entire division. I mean, it's not like he really fought that many ranked contenders. He really just fought 2 ranked guys and then got the title shot against Volk, and then he did what we all saw from there. But he just quickly went through all that, predicted it all, knocked out, finished many high elite guys, and now he is setting his sights on that lightweight division. As of right now, it looks like he might jump straight to that pound for pound #1 fight against Islam Makhachev, and he's gonna get that title fight. But before that, there is also some other potential matchups we've seen talked about, such as Charles Oliveira, which would be a banger of a fight for sure. And if he has to fight him first and win, then he gets the Islam Makhachev fight, which is definitely one of the biggest fights you can make in the sport right now, apart from maybe John Jones, Aspinall, if you want to give that the credit. But either way, this is one of the biggest fights you can make with 2 of the most elite guys in the UFC right now, and there's not really much of a better fight you can make out there.
Yeah, this would be massive and arguably the most skilled UFC matchup you can make. Ilia Topuria just came out here and is pretty much done with featherweight in record-breaking time, beating 2 GOATs, going up to lightweight, and now challenging the GOAT of lightweight, one of the probably the greatest lightweight of all time. Islam and Khabib are neck and neck for greatest lightweights of all time. I'd say maybe Islam has surpassed him with 4 title defenses now, and whatever Ilia does at lightweight, it's going to be big, and he's taken over the UFC already in such a short time. And when it comes to skills, Ilia mixes it up so well. It's not like he just has boxing, but he mixes in the takedowns. We saw that against Max Holloway, getting him to the ground, making him think about the wrestling, while also chopping his opponents down with a strong leg kick. He doesn't even really throw head kicks, but it feels like he doesn't even need to. He's fundamental, he's clean, he's very defensively responsible. In close, he's one of the most dangerous punchers in the sport, and you don't want Ilia Topuria walking you down, because no matter who it is, that's going to be rough. Even if he does start a little bit slow, he'll eventually pick up, and so far he's pretty much found that shot every time.
But let us know down below what you think so far of Ilia Topuria's UFC run. So leave a like, subscribe, and check out the video on the screen of how John Jones beats Tom Aspinall.